What up, world? How we doing? Friday morning, motivation and inspiration. Shout out to everybody that's up going to work, going to school, getting them beautiful kids up for daycare. My people that's already at the job site, and my people who have completed the day on their way to bed. I love you all. Hope you tapped in with the plugs. Thank you for another opportunity. Airing your body is still a purpose for you. Off the rip, what's 5 things you're grateful for? I'm grateful for my children. Today is my son Junebug's 9th birthday. Happy birthday, son. And it's a funny story about how his birthday is the day after mine. When I think I was 24, and I had went to his mama's house. He wasn't born yet, to pick up our other son, and she was bringing him out to my car, and players mess up. I didn't check the back seat to see another girl had left her heels in my car. So when she opened the door to put our son in the car seat, she saw the heels and she spazzed out a little bit. And when she had drove to my house later on to pick up our son, mind you, this is June 22nd, I think like 2014. She said, I don't want to see you or talk to you until this baby was born. And Junebug wasn't born until like late July. And so I was like, all right, cool, it is what it is. And I'm at work the next day at Google Fiber, and I get a phone call like 10 o'clock in the morning. And it's my baby mama. And she said, yeah, I'm at my doctor's appointment. They said I'm going into labor now. So she thought she wasn't going to talk to me for a whole month. And my son said, no, you're going to see daddy tomorrow. But she ended up moving out of Kansas City when Junebug was only 2 months old. And she had moved to Memphis, and she spent a few years in Memphis, and then she moved to Texas, so I never really got to have a consistent relationship with him. But now he's been living with me for the last 2 years, and we closer than ever. And, you know, I could spend a lot of time on the negative side of the relationship between me and her and why I didn't get along and all the toxic things we've been through. But honestly, I can say we've evolved past it. That's in the trash. I respect her for making the choice to say, it's better for these 2 boys to live with their father than it is for them to be without him. Because a lot of women never come to that realization. And though right now, everybody around her, her mama, her stepdaddy, nobody supports it, but she on her own was able to look at her sons and listen to them when they said, we want to go live with daddy. So happy birthday, Junebug, and shout out to his mama, because I'm living a rare situation that both of my baby mamas, not one, but 2, said, you know what? It's better for our children to be with him and get raised properly by their father than for them to see him every other weekend, twice a month. And a lot of men never run into women who compromise that much. And I really, on some G, if we being real, as much as it's compromise, it make their life easier. Their kids are better behaved. They get to do what they want and go wherever they want and live their life as they please, and they know their children are taken care of. And something that I always said when I was young and reckless and living a wild life, because we all mess with girls that got children. And when I would just see some of the things that women was willing to do in front of their kids, I always said, God, I hope my baby mamas don't do in front of my children what these women willing to do in front of their kids. So when it didn't work out, I want my kids with me. They don't need to be exposed to men coming in and out or catching you in the bed with another man. I mean, there's a lot of things as a man I want to protect my children from as long as I possibly can. And when I was out here messing with a lot of women, I realized that they put their self and their own needs over their children's needs, and that's something I didn't want to do. My mother and father, you know, they made sure they had their beer, they had their weed, they had their cigarettes, and me and my little brother went without. I remember plenty of times of taking my dad's packs of cigarettes and cutting them up. Plenty of times of taking my dad and mom's beer and liquor and pouring it down the sink because I was just so frustrated. How we ain't got lights and y'all can sit here and get high and get drunk and feel comfortable. You know, now as a grown man, I realized I could have stayed in the kids' place truthfully, and that they were just doing those things to cope with the hardships that we were in. And you don't know what you don't know. And like I said, as a kid, I had a lot of anger, a ton. You wouldn't even imagine that now, at how much I can just laugh and smile and express myself. But I had a dark childhood. I talk to my daddy all the time. I said, man, I used to always pour my daddy's beer out. I always throw his cigarettes away. I was so frustrated that he could smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day. and we eating cold Church's chicken for breakfast. Frustrated that mama was able to keep her hair done and her nails done, but we can't pay for me to play basketball. I never played basketball until I was a freshman in high school, just because my parents didn't have a car, and my mama would have took that money to get her nails done versus paying for me to play on somebody's team. That's why the last few summers when I've done my basketball camp, I did it totally free, because I understand the kids where we live at, where we come from. Kids ain't bad, but they gonna go where they gotta go to have fun. And a lot of mama gotta have a life. Mama gotta have fun too. What they say, girls are players too. Well, who raising the kids? And so that's why I take fatherhood so seriously, because I know when my daddy working all the time and my mama watching TV or kicking with her home girls, I got caught up in messing in the streets. And now I didn't do a lot of gunplay, but I messed around with a lot of girls. Mama always said that she couldn't keep me away from the girls, but she kept me away from the streets. And boy, did I learn my lesson with the women. I think women are beautiful people to be admired, but emotions are something serious, and they are not to be toyed with or played with. That's why I think honesty is key, and just being extremely truthful and upfront. It'll save you a lot of headache on the back end. But nobody teaches you that when you're a young boy, so you got to grow and learn. And I think about this a lot. You know how sexual the content that, Trey Songz and Chris Brown and all these artists put out, there's no way they really live in that life. There's no way. Because when I was running around messing with this girl and that girl and that girl and that girl, I wasn't getting anything done. I wasn't productive at all. I was going to work and I was tired. I was always with a girl, always going where they wanted to go, always doing what they wanted to do. So these narratives they be feeding us young men, and we gonna grow up and we want to have this girl and that girl and that girl and that girl. It's a waste of time. Grow up and focus on yourself. Become the best version of you. I was just telling people yesterday, I'm healthier at 34 than I was at 24. I was still drinking lean at 24 years old. I was still staying up till 2, 3 a.m. playing 2K. I still was with my homeboys outside of the club, parking lot pimping. There's so many narratives that don't fit the world. Like when I worked at AT&T, me, Mikey, and Reggie. And there was always an off-duty Jackson County sheriff there every day. And they was the coolest people ever. On God, when they used to do big drug raids, they used to bring us stuff back. They used to be the bouncers at the club, so we didn't have to stand in line. We could walk up front. And do you know how lit it is when you in the middle of the hood and you good with the Jackson County sheriffs? You could walk up and fist bump them. Man, they give you a different type of street cred. It's one thing to know that the shooters and the mayor and the politicians, but when you cool with the Jackson County sheriffs, the people that's quote unquote bad guys that you're supposed to be scared of, it's different. Because them drug dealers, they in the same club as you, and they know they step outside, them sheriffs can get behind them and raid them and take all their pounds and throw them in jail. But they your homeboys, so they gonna give you a pass. When I was in high school, my guy Deron Hayden, he's dead now, rest in peace Deron. He drove a Hummer, and the police pulled him over, and he had $60,000 cash in the car. They didn't take him to jail, they just took his cash. So put him in a spot where he had to go rob somebody else, and then, that negative energy always comes back eventually, and somebody caught him pulling into his garage on 91st, and yacht took his life. But to grow up in it and to witness it from both sides, to know the cops, to know the drug dealers, they not bad people. They just copy what they see in front of them. All of my friends I know that sold drugs come from fatherless homes. I don't know one man that was like, I'm gonna grow up and sell drugs just like my daddy. And his daddy was like, yeah, come on, son, let's do this. Never seen it happen in my life. All of my friends, I want to say, that have committed murders are from fatherless homes. The only friend that grew up with his father, and he really didn't even grow up with his daddy, because his daddy was just his basketball coach, was Rodney, who didn't really grow into the potential that he had. And I still hope Rodney becomes a great person, because, man, dude has so much talent. He just lacks the discipline. But when he gets disciplined, he is going to accomplish big things. And shout out to my guy Dre, who stepped out on faith, creating this content. He do wrestling and WWE content. And I say we all have a gift from God, and we just need somebody to motivate us. And I got a few people around me that come from the same trenches that's looking at me and say, hey, Johnny, we really can do this thing. My boy Hintz, he got Bowtie Sports. he got to go out to the Super Bowl and record it, and now he's doing this thing with Sporting Kansas City where he be recording the games. So wherever you at, man, make sure you motivating your friends, make sure you motivating the people around you. My boy LJ, he a tattoo artist. He got his tattoo shop opening up. My boy Aaron, he has a clothing line called Lanyap, super nice clothes. So, man, make sure you inspiring your people who come from the same environments, the same hardships that you had to overcome. Whether that's in the hood or the trailer park or the South or the country, or whether you a trust fund baby, because I really think them kids that grow up rich, they got a hard time motivating themselves. All they know is comfort, so they got to find a reason to want to work hard. So make sure if you really at the top, you motivating the people around you. Let's keep this bread growing, you know? Let's not let it die out. And that's all you can hope for, is that you can motivate the people around you. And I've said it a lot, fatherhood is the greatest spiritual experience for me, because I'm such a leader and I'm so disciplined, but to see the way my kids have arguments over who's the strongest. Like I said, today's Junebug's birthday. Yesterday, he said, Daddy, I did 65 push-ups. That's dope. Like, that makes me so happy my kids want to be fit. I was in bed yesterday, halfway asleep, and I roll over, and all 7 of the children and my wife are lined up singing happy birthday to me. I keep saying the most beautiful things in life for free. And I'm sure if you listen to this video, you can think back to some memories you've had with somebody in your family that make you smile, that make you laugh. My daughter, Georgie, she's 3. She probably told me happy birthday, Daddy, 200 times yesterday. No dollar amount will ever be able to replace that. My wife was giving me a back rub yesterday. My daughter said, I want to help, and my daughter got her little 3-year-old hands on there and started rubbing my back. Once again, man, there's things that money cannot replace. And I say it a lot, that if you did not come from a strong family, make sure a strong family comes from you. And yesterday was the first birthday where I had all 7 of my children together. All of them. So while a lot of people was asking me, are you going out to do anything? Or you have any big plans? My plans was that I got to get off work and go home and see 7 smiling faces that was happy to see me. In the world that criticizes you for having a 9-to-5 and, you know, says that the family unit is dead and marriage is dead, I know I'm not the only man to be happy to see his kids when they get off work. I just know I can't be. Because I be at the job and they be texting me throughout the day, sending me memes and sending me pictures, and you know, I can't wait till you get home, Daddy. Like, I'm really close to my children. I keep saying I can't be the only father out there that's close. I can't be the only man to understand that my energy affects my wife's energy. That if I'm stressed out or I'm frustrated, that it's going to throw her off. And not saying that as men, we don't need to step out and deal with our emotions in our own way. But everything that happens at your job, with your homeboys, in your car, that don't need to go inside your home. Your home should be full of peace. That should be a safe place for everybody to just, and as a man, you are the head of that castle. If you're a single mama, you the head of that castle. Well, that's a lot harder, because women are more emotional. That's how we work. Men are a little more logical, so we need that emotional presence around us to get us to see things from a different perspective. And women are emotional sometimes, and they need that logical presence to step up and say, hey, it's cool. My wife sometimes be tripping out. I had to let her know, baby, it ain't even that big deal. Just relax, you know. I love you. Calm down. And that reassurance does a lot. My daughter is 13. And sometimes she be just thinking too much, going too fast. And like, baby, it ain't even a big deal. Daddy gonna handle it. My 3-year-old, let her not get her way, and she throwing a fit through the house. And she comes straight to Daddy. Anybody do something she don't like, it's Daddy. Get him now. And those are the things that make me happy. It won't, buying 10 cars won't make, I mean, it'll be cool to have a bunch of, if I had 10 cars. I know a guy right now, true story, multi-millionaire. He has a garage with 35 plus cars and it has 3 Corvettes. I work with him in my office every day. And he's not close to his family though. He has a wife, he has 2 children. But he loves his material items more than he loves his family. And I don't know what it is about the richer men become. They look at humans as disposable and they value their material things more than the actual humans in their life. But I could never see myself becoming that way. Maybe it's because I've already lost humans. You know, I really think having dead children helps me see the world from a different perspective. And if you watching this video, I'm sure it's something that's happened in your life negative that gave you a little more empathy, that gave you a little more understanding. And if something in your life hasn't happened yet, that's the best thing about this thing is we all get popped one good time by Mayweather. And you'll get your lesson as well. And as I like to say, when you get hit, at least fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up, because life will hit you. It will challenge you. It will push you to see, can you overcome this? How you going to respond to this? And every time it's one of my son's birthday, I also know in my head I got dead children. And I used to go to the graveyard a lot and just sit there in between their headstones. Like I said, Johnny is buried right here, and Jay Sean is buried right here. And I used to just sit out there sometimes and just cry and think and just be angry. And I can say, man, I haven't cried thinking about them boys in a while. I didn't laugh thinking about them, and I didn't smile. I was in the bathroom the other day, and I was thinking the way my children now are obsessed with me, them boys would be the same way. You know, they would still love their daddy, and I would be just as close with them, and we'd be, you know, shadow boxing throughout the house and wrestling and just all the cool things. And I really, really, really love being a father. And I know I say that a lot, but the world pretends that we don't care about our kids. I wouldn't be who I am if I'm not a dad. I wouldn't have a reason to. Life has been too hard. It's hit me in the face too many times. It's broken my spirit. But I can say no matter what challenge life is thrown at me, I can look over and my kids are smiling at me. They're proud of me. Right now, my kids don't know if I got $1 in the bank or $700 million in the bank. All they know is daddy gonna come home from work and we gonna probably throw the football and jump on the trampoline and eat popsicles, play the Xbox. And, you know, it's the best things in life are free, and I hope everybody has the ability to grow to learn that. You can have all the money, all the cars, all the clothes. You can take all the trips. You can have the best looking pictures on Instagram. You can have the most followers on TikTok. But if you don't have nobody in your life for real, that really care about you and really value, it got to be a little lonely. Because I've never had 1 million followers. I've never made $1 million in a year. I've never been on a yacht or you know, all these fancy, extravagant things. But I can say having people that really care about me, I know what it's like to not be cared about. I mean, I know what it's like to have people use you and abuse you and only want you around for their benefit. And your children, like Jordan Peterson said, your children are the only people where you have a chance to make that relationship perfect, because they're handed to you as perfect. And it's on you to make this thing grow to the levels the world has never seen before, or it can just stay at the bottom. And there's a lot of children who unfortunately, you know, didn't get loved and didn't get protected by their parents, and they still growing up angry. And I want to send some love and some prayers to them. You know, I was reading A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and he was saying, you know, there's stimulus, and then there's our response to the stimulus. But in between is a space where we can control how we respond to the said stimuli. And the world makes you say, if I'm angry, if something makes me mad, I gotta lash out and be angry. If something makes me sad, I gotta cry and be hysterical. If I hear some words I don't like, I need to be, that's offensive, and they have to be canceled. But Viktor Frankl said in between that gap is we can create space there. And we don't have to immediately respond to the stimuli. We can slow down and think, what did I hear? Did I interpret that correctly? Were they talking about me? Should I be upset at that? Should I take that personal? Like, we can have all this time to stop and pause before we just lash out at people. But the world don't teach us that we can operate like that. Music don't talk about that. Music say, oh, they look at you sideways. How about the chop with the strap? You know, movies, you watch people act irrational. Cartoons, you act people act irrational. So you never get to see anybody logically respond to a problem. You don't get to see, you know, rational conversations. On the news, they have people arguing, you know, back and forth, cutting each other off every few minutes. You know, I think the best long form content, you know, there's a podcast I like, it's The Diary of the CEO. That's very dope. Joe Rogan has some good content. I think there's a guy named Chris Wilkinson. I can't remember exactly. And then there's you. You know what you love to do, and I say it time and time again because I'm not going to leave y'all alone. We all have a talent. We all have something to give this world. And once you step out on faith, your life will change in ways you never imagined. So on this beautiful Friday, I want you smiling, happy, diddy bopping, Harlem shaking, all that stuff, because your weekend is going to be beautiful. The future is bright, and God is going to bless you in ways you never imagined. So make sure you share this video with somebody who needs it. Make sure you keep being the best version of yourself. Keep growing. The world is going to keep being extremely negative, and it's your job to be bubble boy. What they used to say when we was kids, I am rubber, you are glue. Everything you say bounce off me and sticks to you. Bars. But no, man, be happy, be happy, be happy. And then share that love with the people around you, because you really never know who just needs to hear some kind words and what they're going through and what their situation is like. And until Monday morning, baby, I love you all. We outie. Peace.